our monthly meeting of the Guild. Nice to see everyone.
A beautiful day out there, huh? So interesting. Things are getting dark. The Royals are done, although they had a great season. So we're moving into the perfect, like I said in my newsletter, the article, perfect woodworking weather. Throw the garage door up, just really nice to see everyone. Do we have any first-time visitors tonight? Great. Thank you guys for all coming. Anyone here a new member? All right. Got some great members. Great to have new members. Thank you for joining. Hope you stay with us a long time and you may become the star of the show pretty soon. So thanks for being here. That's right, yeah. It's kind of not much competition for a star of the show. Welcome to those that are online, whether YouTube or Facebook. Great to have you with us as well. You guys know me pretty well. We're going to move through. I'm tired tonight, so I'm trying to move through this agenda pretty fast. Got some great show and tell items. We're looking forward to showing that, and we have a great presentation tonight. We're anxious to hear from the J.Thomas Home people. I may have said that with J.Thomas Home. So we're going to go through the agenda. One thing that, if you're interested at all, I'm involved in an organization called Society of American Period Furniture Makers. Some of you may have heard of it. And I know it's a long distance away, but next Saturday the 26th, we're having a meeting for the Gateway chapter, which is kind of encompasses Kansas, Missouri, some of Illinois, some of Iowa, and it's a big region. But we're having a meeting at the Woodcraft in St. Louis next Saturday. If you're interested at all, come see me. I'll get you the information. I know it's a long distance away. Typically, it's hard to get a lot of participation from Kansas City over in St. Louis and vice versa. So if you're interested at all in the organization, come see me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. You guys know I love period furniture, so it's kind of a place where nerdy people like me can get together and talk about period furniture. And if you don't even know what that is, you can come talk to me as well. Going down the list, Ron Hall, the vice president, has nothing to report. Secretary David Roth has nothing to report. John Steyer, the treasurer, I haven't seen John, but I can tell you that I see the financial reports and we're still paying our bills. We'd love to have more members. That way we can all kind of carry forward, and I think we've had an amazing year with the new shop and what we've been able to, the resources we've been able to put into our facility here. But that's absolutely because of our membership. So people are pointing to me. I don't know what we're wanting to talk about. Oh, John's hiding. Okay, that's okay. I already covered all of his material. Member at large Craig Arnold has nothing to report. Oh, that's a curveball.
All right, if any of you read the newsletter, I did ask for nominations for Contributor of the Year and the Lifetime Achievement Award. Both those awards are bestowed upon worthy members. The Lifetime Achievement Award is usually given to a member of long standing who has given and given and given to the Guild. Like that guy right there, he used to do that. And then the Contributor of the Year is a person that, hey, they've helped out with a great project, they've come up with great ideas, they've taken on additional roles, and we want to recognize them. So if you have any nominations, come see me during the break, and I'll be able to present those to the board in November. Thanks.
Thanks, Craig. And those awards are given out at our holiday dinner, which we'll talk about a little bit as we go through the agenda. So assets, Chuck, they say you have nothing to report. Is that true? Well, you have opinions, and sometimes you're not shy to share them. Yeah. moving down, communications, Brian has nothing to report. Website has nothing to report. I would say our communication team does a great job. So kudos to Brian and all the people that work with him and the website and the newsletter coming right off. Ron does a great job, and I know Ron has people helping him. Steve has been doing a lot of, Steve, I can't remember his last name, but he's done a lot of the work. And we really appreciate it. If you guys have things that you are interested in, write a quick article. We would love to have articles by people that are not just, the same old. But the newsletter is great. I look forward to it every month, and usually Ron has to wait for me to get my stuff done. It was really bad this month. Librarian Don has, I don't see any books for sale or magazines for sale. I'm not sure we have that tonight, so we'll move on. So social media, we are on social media, so please check us out on Facebook, participate, join the Facebook group. There's a page for the Woodworkers Guild, and there's a group, and the group is really for interacting with the community. So check those out on Facebook. On Instagram, we have a guild page, and you can always tag the guild if you're interested in showing your work. It's kind of nice to get that out in the community. So I think we have probably some nice opportunities on social media to maybe enhance our visibility in the community. I think we've done that. We've actually increased that so much over this past year, which has really been a nice effort. We also have our YouTube channel, so if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel and subscribed, please do that. I think we're getting super close to the level where we actually might have, even if it's very small, a little bit of a financial benefit, and then other things that Chris can do from just the tools that they allow. I think once you get to 500 subscribers, that you get some additional benefits. And I'm not the expert. Chris could tell you about that, but we're at 478 subscribers right now, so you might be that one. Go home and subscribe if you haven't done that. There also has videos of all of our monthly meetings, many of our skill builders. There's plenty of podcasts from interviews from some of our members. There's a lot of great videos. Go check them out. It goes back for several years. Good content. Chris, do you want to share with events and any AV and YouTube? I just took some of your thunder. Sorry about that.
No, that's all good. So back at the first of the month, on that first Saturday, we had our 40th, which my computer's
I think we lost you.
'40th anniversary on that Saturday, and lots of people came out. It was good. Cal did his presentation, and had some ice cream from Betty Ray's, and several of our sponsors were here. So I think it was a pretty good event. Coming up in November, looking at the notes here, what's my dates? November
7th.
Yes,
Lee
thank
Nielsen.
you. November 7th, 8th, and 9th will be Lee Nielsen coming here. November 23rd and 24th will be Santa's Workshop. And then our holiday dinner will be in the December meeting, and that's going to be Infinite Catering.
So great events coming up for everyone. If you've been around in the guild for several years ago, we would get Lee Nielsen coming every year, and it's really cool to have them demonstrating their tools and a lot of engagement with the community, because it's, Lee Nielsen is one of the nicer plane makers that is in business out there. So it's really kind of a really nice feature for us to have. And then that first night is for guild members only, so it's a little bit of an early access. I believe the benefit is free shipping. So correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I think that's the benefit on most items.
Here,
So First Fridays are done, so thank you for all the people that participated in First Fridays this year. They're done for the year, but I think it was a really, really successful. It's really just a first step in how we can engage in First Fridays. It was really great outreach to the community, and we got nice bit of engagement in the community and getting to know a lot of the people in this area of town. Membership, Carol, I'm sure you want to talk about our new membership incentives. Carol, do you want to come up and talk membership? Well, I wanted to talk about what little bit of your membership drives, and then our new incentive to get people to sign up for the end of the year.
Cal, while she's coming up, I've got the photos up now that had technical difficulties. My screen locked up. So this is from the 40th anniversary. So we had a pretty good showing for that. And then there's the Lee Nielsen Sands Workshop.
Hi, glad everybody's here. We are now 805 members, which is great. Yay is right.
We started the year around 720, am I right?
That sounds about right.
That's fantastic.
Yep. So we are going to do a membership special for new members signing up. Now that we're at the end of the year, because of the way our membership is for the entire year, what we're going to do now is if somebody signs up now, it's October and November for $30 each month, and then they get December for free if they sign up for 2025. So $230 for now until the end of 2025. So if you have any friends that are on the fence, you're thinking about you want them to come join because they're cool and they'd be a great bonus to our group, right now is a really good time for that to happen. Okay?
Awesome, and Carol has been doing a great job of spearheading our outreach at some of our vendors like Woodcraft and Rockler and Metro Hardwoods and Shooty Lumber. Are there more of those? So she's looking for volunteers all the time to come help, but she's really doing a great job of getting the word out to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The next one coming up is at Metro and November 2nd. If you are interested in doing that for a couple hours, let me know. It's a lot of fun. People think it wouldn't be, but it really is a lot of fun talking to people. Because when you're in that space, they're the same kind of, they have, it's that talk.
It's the key demographic.
They speak the same kind of demographic, so it's a lot of fun. So if you're interested, let me know. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Moving on down, so programs, we have, looking forward to our program tonight from J.Thomas Home. Matt, do you have anything else to report? And I saw Matt earlier today. Okay. Safety committee. Actually, Steve sent me some notes that I should have pulled up in advance. Hold on a minute. This is anti my fast meetings. Sorry about that. Okay, the next planned video shoot for the new safety videos is scheduled for October 25th. The shop will be closed from 9 to 2. We'll probably show that on the calendar. And they'll be able to shoot the video at that time. And the focus of that is going to be general shop rules. The next safety committee meeting is scheduled for 7 o'clock next Wednesday, the 23rd. So that's a pretty short update from the safety committee. So I thank Steve and then the whole safety committee for keeping things rolling. Rough to Ready is led by John Sloss. There are lots of classes available. So if you don't know, Rough to Ready is one of the ways you can, when you join the guild, you can sign up for Rough to Ready, and that counts as your safety orientation, and it gets you oriented in using the tools in the shop. So sponsorship, we have raffles going on tonight, and we have 2 floating shelves donated by It was a special raffle going on back there. Dwayne, do you want to come and plug that? Go check that out. Okay. As far as sponsorship, definitely consider when you're going out to buy tools or lumber, use our sponsors. If you have questions about who those are, you can talk to Dwayne, you can talk to me, but really if you're buying wood or tools of any sort of volume every year, you can more or less save your membership by just a discount here and there. You buy a couple $100 worth of lumber and you get 10% off. That's a nice savings. Or any group of tools. So definitely take advantage of that. Training, Rich, do you have any updates for training?
So I just got a few things. First, I want to mention that our next skill builder that's coming up is going to be November 2nd. That is going to be using the router table, and Craig Arnold is going to be presenting that then. In December 7th, our skill builder will be the Martin sliding table. So that big machine that's over in the other room there that nobody knows how to use yet, well, come to the skill builder, and Chuck is going to show us all how to use that. Then some upcoming trainings. On November 6th, we have a training on building wooden toys. There are still 2 slots left open for the building wooden toy class, so you might want to get that. Starting December 2nd, Craig is going to be teaching the Craftsman Clock class, and that will release on October 29th. So coming up October 29th, that class will release. Then Wayne is going to be teaching a class on the Christmas star. That is going to be on December 9th, and that will release on November 5th. And then on December 14th, we've got one more building wooden toy class, and that is going to be on December 14th, and it will release on November 12th. So we got some classes coming up. If you didn't catch all those dates, you can come and you can talk to me, or I have them all in the newsletter. You can see them there. And classes release on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. So if you check your email at Tuesday at 7 o'clock, then you'll be able to catch a class. And one more class that we're working on, Dan Robideau is going to try to offer the carving a stilted sandpiper. So if you want to come up and talk about that, I'll turn it over to you.
My name's Dan Rubidoux, and I carve birds. I had a grandfather when I was 10 years old that he was 91, and we'd sit on the edge of the bed or the edge of the deck, and he always had a plug of tobacco, and he'd take his knife and cut off his plug of tobacco and chew it, and every once in a while he'd show it to me, give me a chew, but I didn't. It's against my religion. But any rate, he gave a lot of grandfather wisdom. And one of the things of grandfather wisdom, he says that if you think that learning a new skill, developing yourself, having dreams of having hopes, getting an education, that type of thing, is too expensive, wait till you get the bill from regret. That always stuck with me. But at any rate, I teach bird carving, and I teach 3 people. It is involved. The students, instead of when they sell their work, instead of getting hundreds of dollars, they get thousands of dollars. I've spent a lot of time learning the skill. I will only teach 3 people at a time, and we're going to be starting a class on, we'll be doing a stilted sandpiper. And if you want to know more about it, if you have any interest in decorative bird carving, I would invite you to come to our SIG meeting, carving SIG meeting, which is going to be next Tuesday from 6 to 8. And I will bring all the material so you can see exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it and the level of commitment that it takes to be able to do this. But the people that have learned to do bird carving, it changes their outlook, their life, everything. It is a wonderful thing, but it is intense. I only take 3 people, no more, no less. So come and see me next Tuesday from 6 to 8 here at the Guild, and I'll explain what I'm doing, and if we can put something together, we'll do it, and if not, it's the way it goes.
All right, thank you, Dan. And Dan already started talking about the SIGs. So that's kind of our next part of our agenda. So the carving SIG meets every month, and like he said, next one is Tuesday night, which is October 22nd at 6 to 8. It's always the fourth Tuesday of the month. The other SIGs that we have right now, the hand tool SIG, meets October 27th. That's with Rob Young and Wayne. Wayne, any special topics? Something with hand tools. These are the guys that, if you're interested in hand tools, these are the guys. Fourth Sunday of the month from 2 to 4, so October 27th is our next one. The laser engraver SIG is led by Curtis. The next meeting is the 23rd, which is next Wednesday. If you're interested in the laser, I don't know if there's a specific topic, but what also happens at all the SIGs is that you can get trained to use the laser. So if you're interested in the laser, you need to be trained specifically on it, and that's a great way to get that done. Anything specifically that I missed from the laser SIG coming up? Okay. CNC SIG is, next meeting is October 21st, which is the third Monday of the month. That's led by Gary Milkey and Ed Stewart. Ed, anything specific that you're gonna approach at the next CNC meeting? I thought I saw Ed earlier. Okay, and that's really it. Any other comments? We actually did pretty good. It's 7:21. That's not bad. So that leaves plenty of time to go to show and tell. So I'm going to hand the mic over. Jim, are you back in town? You can give a little update on your excursions and run us through show and tell. So if you have a show and tell piece, kind of get in line and get ready to come over and show your work. This is my favorite part of the meeting. So thank you all in advance for all the pieces you've brought, and look forward to seeing them.
Thank you. So my wife and I just came back from a World War II tour of Europe. It was 18 days, 17 or 18 days, and I was telling my family about it at breakfast the other morning, and you reminded me of grandfatherly advice. So my 7-year-old grandson says to me, he says, "Pop," he says, "were you in the Army?" And I said, "You bet." And he goes, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I was an airborne ranger." And he looks at me and he says, "What's airborne?" And I said, "We were soldiers that were called paratroopers, and we jumped out of airplanes." And he goes, "While they're in flight?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Dumb." The wisdom. I'll get him. Okay, Kevin. Yes.
So this is our weekly public service announcement. If you have comments, we have microphones going around. And if you're speaking on the microphone, hold it up close to your mouth. That helps us all in here, and it helps the people online to hear what's going on. Thank you.
So is this mic on? Okay, it's on.
On.
Yes, Les, have at it.
Who let you in?
I heard that this morning at Woodcraft. And again tonight when I walked in the door. Thank you.
All of these have been sitting on my shelf in my shop for 15 years, undone. Started them a long time ago, put them up there, forgot about them, and I've been cleaning my shop up, getting rid of stuff, and I thought, you know, I ought to finish those, so I jumped in. All of these spirals are done on a machine called the Beal Masterpiece Turner. They made this about 15 years ago. They didn't sell them very long. I don't think they sold many. Mounts on a small lathe, works like a Legacy. It's got all the gears and all that stuff. It cuts with a Fordham and router bits. The lathe does not turn. You can see on one end there's a crank handle. Well, maybe you can't see it. But you just crank the handle and the piece goes around and the bit goes down and does the cutting. And it's what cuts out all of these. When I first got it, I made all of these at some point in time and just playing with it. All three of these are walnut. This one is wingy. This one is done on the Beal Masterpiece Turner also.
Jim, hold that piece of white paper behind him so we can see it. Can't see you against the backdrop.
And it's all made out of ebony and holly. The spindle, I took a piece of ebony and put it on the Beal Turner and turned it round perfectly straight. Then I took a piece of holly, drilled the hole through it, and made it fit that, epoxied it on, and then went back and cut it, and that's how the spirals got cut. That was about 1.5 inches longer. I thought it was too tall, so I shortened it. This one is Red River Gum Burl from Australia. It's hard as concrete. It took me a long time to turn that, and I put it up on the shelf. I was so frustrated. There's no finish on this at all. That's just, it's that hard. I never turned a finial. This is not attached. I was messing around with finials, so I took a piece of beech and just turned it and dye stained it to see what it looked like. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I didn't want to mess up a piece of ebony, so I went that route. This was done on the Turner also. I think I've brought this up here before.
I don't remember seeing it, so.
I had this idea to make a cane, and I wanted to try this to where these screw together, you know. So I went out one day and spent probably all afternoon on a Sunday turning this, and now it just sits on the table by my chair, and I sit there and I do this and I think, you know, works pretty well. It's also a barometer, because when humidity goes up, it locks up and you can't turn it. And then one last thing. This one I had made for a small candle, and when I was doing these others, I made them for bigger candles, obviously. Well, I got this wild idea. So this block fits in there. And that presses on there to make it a big candle. All this stuff I just do on a whim.
That spacer made it bigger?
Pardon?
That spacer is what made it bigger?
It's spacer is what's hold this on.
Oh, I see.
And then you take it off and put the candle on this.
Ah,
and
okay.
Use a smaller candle. Pardon?
Can you take the candle off the top?
Off of this?
Yes.
Show the bottom of the big candle you put on top of that, and then the top of the other one. That.
Yeah, it's got a bigger hole in it. Fits on this spacer, and then the spacer comes off, and you can put the small candle on there. These are all 2 coats of water locks. Just brushed it on with an acid brush, you know. It was way too shiny. So I steel wooled them, all of them, and then put a coat of wax on them. This one has nothing but wax. That's all it is wax on that one.
Pieces together?
Pardon?
Do any of them screw together with, are they threaded?
No. All of these had tenons on the end of them. Put holes in these pieces on. Like this finial here, it's got a tenon on it. All the pieces had tenon. Turned them on there and then glued them together.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Wow.
Pardon?
I'm always impressed with what you do.
Yes.
I saw him in at Woodcraft this morning, and the manager was relatively new at Woodcraft, and he said, "You know this guy?" And I said, "Yeah." You weren't around, and he says, "Is he a woodworker?" And I said, "You wouldn't believe it." Thank you.
I just do what I do.
Yeah, I know. You're the only guy I've ever seen that made a Zebco fishing reel out of wood. All right, who's next? I saw a chair in here. Who's that? Bring it on up here. Hi, your name is John?
Yes, I'm John Kimball. I'm relatively new to the guild, although I was a member of the first iteration back in the
Quick
late
reminder to
70s.
everyone, you must hold the microphone close. It will not work if you're too far away. That's what we're getting static from.
Okay. So I was part of the first iteration. We met in the late 70s at the Moose Lodge in Sugar Creek. And I don't know if there's anybody else that remembers that time. It was a very different organization than it is now. So I was basically a custom trim cabinet carpenter and somewhat cabinet maker for about 30 years at that time. And then I went over to the dark side, and basically everything coming out of my shop was painted flat black. So I am now retired from the dark side and have built a shop in my backyard and am pulling out the tools that I put in boxes 25 years ago. So I'm starting to actually make things again. And this is a chair. I've always thought about making a chair. I've drawn, pictures of a chair. I've thought about it. I've drawn a little template maybe, but now I'm making a chair. So this is my first chair, and I just made it from kind of an amalgam of measurements from various chairs we had around the house to get heights, angles, everything like that, and just kind of figured out what was comfortable for me in that, and then started with the sketch and then a full-size side view so that I could take off of that the back legs and then all the subsequent angles. And I've found, this is what I've found in doing this, there are 3 elements to a chair. Well, there's one thing, it's got to be comfortable. But the 3 elements are really the seat, the back legs, and the crest rail. And so if you have those 3, that's what determines the whole thing. This is a table right here. So That's what I've learned, how to, in that, I'm going to keep exploring that. The next time I'll make 2.
I have read where 5% of woodworkers actually build a chair. So you're in the 5%.
All right.
Okay, question. What, the frame basically is made out of red oak.
Red oak.
And what did you make the seat out of?
That was a chunk of probably yellow pine. I'm thinking it's yellow pine. I basically made this utilizing scraps I had around.
Okay.
So I had
How did you carve out the seat?
with a Kutzall grinder head.
Okay.
On a 4.5-inch grinder, and just ground it. I'm learning about that too.
Okay, and the joints? For
Oh, it's all mortise and tenon.
mortise and tenon, including the
yeah.
back rail?
Yeah, everything's mortise and
And
tenon
you
with a
got-
hollow chisel.
You got the
mortar.
curve on using a thicker piece and cutting it?
Yes, and that again that's what determined the curve of that crest is, oh, here's how thick I can make this arch. I had a full 2-inch piece, and then in between the 2 points that here's how much of an arc I can make using this piece of
What did you finish it with?
a Watco.
Okay.
And I took a suggestion from Mr. Hobbs and finished it off with brie wax with a little bit of golden oak brie wax.
Okay. Okay, so are you gonna build any more of these? Is this gonna be part of a set?
No, this one won't. The next one will.
Okay,
The next,
so the next is going to be how many in the set?
at least 2.
That's not a set.
Thank you. No, well, it
Okay,
is.
it is a set.
It is for me.
I built 8 in a set, that's why I'm just bragging.
Well, again, I'm working up to it, and that's
Okay.
what I think was my daughter asked me because she saw me making the pattern for the back. And she said, "Well, Dad, you could make more than one of these." And I said, "Yeah, but I don't know if there's a right pattern
Okay,
yet."
have you ever thought about putting a splat in?
Yeah, I'm working on
Okay.
maybe, but not really. This to me, for me, the utilitarian use of a chair is a dining chair, and this is a really simple, just pull it up. You can pull it up. That's the other consideration of another part. Where do you use a chair? The seat is important right here. You don't know how many times you grab onto a chair right here because that's how you scoot it under the table. So I just, I'm thinking about that and trying to figure out how to design something that'll work.
You said you built a separate building for a shop?
Yes,
How big?
20 by 25 feet.
How many of us would kill for something like that?
Well, my previous shop was 2,500 square feet.
Yeah,
so-
but that was a commercial building, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, and it was basically my my COVID project.
Okay, so you're in the process of fitting out your new shop with new equipment, or
No, I'm trying to buy as little new as possible. Sorry to the vendors here, but I'm trying to utilize what I've got.
well, you already bought it, so
Yeah.
Okay, so if you would sometime in the future, would you take some photographs and some pictures that we could show and tell, because I'm like just about half of the people in here. We'd die for a shop.
Okay, well.
A separate shop building.
Yep. Well.
Most of us are in a
when I'm finished, I'll
garage
take
or
a
a
picture.
basement or something like that.
Well,
so.
I started in a basement and learned never build a table bigger than the stairway that leads out of the basement.
You're a wise man.
Yeah, well, I learned how to split it in 2 and take it back and put it back together again.
Well, thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
Before John gets away, he has a story about these.
Yes, I do.
So, one day John walked in here and donated a couple books.
Jim, Give Brian the mic.
Oh, here.
One day, John walked in here and donated a couple books to the library, and they were a bit exceptional, and they were a little bit more than we could house safely,
And they were really old.
and they were older than me. But in these books were these plates, amongst hundreds of others, but very few of the plates had color. And we took these books and we donated them to the UMKC library for preservation, but before we did, we managed to take some scans out of them and print them just for fun. And the other day he walks in at the 40th anniversary and finally reveals the mystery of who donated these books. And I showed him these prints, and I think you were a little blown away by the fact that they came out this nice.
Yes.
But
Because this is actually about twice the size of the page.
But that's not the good part. Where did the books come from?
Well, they were given to me by a cabinet maker that I worked with early on, and these were basically part of his apprentice training that he had these volumes, and you know, he explained to me there was a whole textbook that went along with it that explains what all the figures are, everything like that. He no longer had that, but he just said, well, and he was, clearing out, he was retiring and moving on and clearing out his shop. And it was a shop that I would go and work in with him occasionally, and he just said, here, you would like these, please take them. So I had them stored on a shelf. I'd look at them from time to time, but then, I have to move these on to some place besides just sitting on a shelf. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
for following through with this.
I would encourage everyone to get a closer look at these.
You gonna hang these around here someplace?
We were thinking about putting them in the shop, just trying to find the right spot. We did a very quick and dirty framing on them, but we could probably do a little bit better. But the rest of the book is pretty fascinating. There's not a lot of plates in the book that have this much color, but there are 2 or 3 more that I'd like to make for us. '96?
Something. And there were, there were 3 or 4 volumes.
4, I think.
4. Some seemed older than that, and some of them were partially there, some of them not. So, they were from, the late 19th century, probably early, and it was, all part of apprentice training. He explained some of that to me, and apprenticing as a young French cabinet maker was hard. But you learned a whole lot, and he taught me you didn't make mistakes. So that's, anyway, it was a...
Well, thank you. And the books are in French and very complex.
Right.
But if anybody wants to see more of those plates, we did scan all of the books at this resolution. And if you'd like to see more, we have them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, who's next, Kevin?
Kind of hard to follow up on that, but I'll try. These are laser engraved. These are just regular old. These are just regular old Christmas tree ornaments. They haven't been decorated yet, but you get the idea. I'll put some kind of fancy hangers on them, and they're made with 1/8-inch Baltic birch. Oh, thank you. They're made with 1/8-inch Baltic birch, and most of them, but some of them are made with I got plans to make some with. Used the, of course, the laser engraver, and I used all. A lot of char and black. Now, on the Santa here, this I'm kind of proud of these joints. There's something called kerf. I guess you guys have heard of kerf. It's real tight here, and I don't have a bit of glue, and I don't have a nail one in these boxes, and they hold together real good. And they're real nice and tight. And I used real tight kerf on that. And yeah, I did use glue on this, but the rest of it's all like these box joints here are just plain old box joints with real tight kerfs. And
So these are just compression?
compression fit, yeah, with
Okay.
real tight, real tight. And
Okay.
if you don't get them together right, you got to start all over and get a new one. They get real frustrating, especially the first couple of. But I like them.
Hey.
I like them. No nails, no glue, nothing. And you sand them down and paint them and stain them. I thought of staining it, but I got in a big hurry. Then I hand painted I lasered the numbers, and then I hand painted the inside. Then I put shellac on top.
Any questions about this project? So this is entirely done on the laser?
Yeah, everyone is entirely done on the laser.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing different is the cardboard, which is MDF compressed, but it's cardboard. And it's a lot cheaper. Actually, a couple of them, I think I just took the cardboard I dug it out of the trash. That's how cheap it was. But I got plans to make a bunch of these ornaments and sell them for like $2 or $3 a piece. And I'm done talking. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
I got one. Where can I get a jacket like that?
You go to the Airborne Museum in Saint-Mary-Glisse, France.
Cool. Yeah, I was in the Army too. We're partners, I guess.
Yeah, but you were a leg, right?
No, I was an airborne paratrooper.
Were you?
I didn't make Ranger. I did
Awesome.
go to Batolz to a mini Ranger training camp. I'll talk to you about
Batolz, I was just in Batolz, Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to Doughboy City?
No, but I went to the Hofbrau in Munich.
Oh man. Oktoberfest at the Hofbrau, guys.
That's next on my bucket list. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Lance.
Lance?
Yes.
Good.
So I joined the guild earlier this summer. Very thankful for First Fridays. I was planning on buying some equipment and teaching myself at home, and learned you guys were right down the street from where I worked. So this is my first project. Decided to start with something simple, inspired by my grandpa does woodworking growing up, so I was in his shop a lot growing up, and just bought a house for the first time and have space to do things at home. So wanted to kind of teach myself, and decided to teach myself around other people who knew what they were doing instead. So I started with a simple project to fix a problem we have at home. We don't have a lot of cabinet space. So this was to free up one cabinet of coffee mugs. So now our coffee mugs hang on the wall instead of take up a shelf space.
And you tell us about the finish that you put on this. How did you?
So one of the things I learned after I started this piece was I don't like the way pine looks stained. I took Craig Arnold's class, so decided to paint it instead after, but you know, live and learn. So I decided to use 2 different types of paint. I used KC Current colors. So I painted the whole thing red, and then did a thin coat of teal on top and sanded to kind of help the red push through a little bit, and then finished with a clear top coat.
Okay. And you've used it, you've had it up, and
It works.
good.
Yep.
What do you have planned for the future? What's your next project?
Something slightly more complicated, but not a lot more complicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what it is yet?
No.
All right. I won't press you.
No, that's okay.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you for bringing that in.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's the mark. Okay.
Okay, these are just some more laser cut mimics. These are mimic books. For dice and things like that.
And this is done entirely on the laser?
Yes, even the hinges,
Okay.
even the pin holding the hinges together is just cut from.
Wow. So this slides together. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so this comes apart like this.
Yep.
You're really into dice, aren't you?
Yeah, played Dungeons and Dragons for a few years now, so.
Oh, and it's even got a slot for a notebook. Wow. How did you get this idea? What started you off on?
I played, Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, I didn't actually design this. This is another thing designed by the same person that designed my monster boxes and stuff like that. He's Vasily 39 in Czechoslovakia. I think it's called something else now. And's a little harder to open, yeah.
And so you're just using it for games and things of that nature, game pieces?
Yeah, you can use it as, jewelry box or whatever, but...
Did you show these at First Friday?
I sold the smaller version. I had 5 of them. I wasn't sure how well they'd sell. They were all gone in the first hour. I sold
Maybe
2
you're
of
onto
them.
something here.
Yeah, I sold 2 of them down, in the crossroads before the official start of First Fridays.
Okay. So you got plans to do more?
Yes, I'm actually going to a craft fair on Saturday, and I've got 8 of the smaller ones, and I should have 4 or 5 of the larger ones done, as well as my, monster chests and some other things.
Okay. And you sell these as well?
No, those are, notice the title is different. I figured I'd make up some extras and people could, choose
what they want to put in their own book or whatever. Interesting. Questions? What'd you finish this with?
General Finishes dye stain.
Okay.
That's medium brown.
Okay. Questions?
If you
say that again.
Are those press fit or did you glue them?
These I always glue, just because I don't want. If you get the kerf, just right, you can get the joint tight enough. You just click it together. But I'd always rather have a little
backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, on Etsy. Vasily39 on Etsy. He's an incredible designer. He's got everything's set up for several different formats and sizes of material, everything.
Good. Any more questions? Thank you for bringing that. That's really interesting. The mechanics are really awesome.
Yeah, all of birch. 8.
Hi, Greg.
I'm Greg Vokeland. I didn't make this. But it's so unusual, I thought maybe it would give somebody some ideas. It's a rosewood belt, and I've had it maybe 20 years, and it's got a little clip that goes in between the pieces. It's pretty adjustable. Oh. But I did make a little sample to show you how it's made. And it's got monofilament line running through a couple of holes, and then it's glued at both ends, or, well, I use toothpicks to jam the monofilament, but it's 60-pound
Monofilament fish line?
fish line.
What are you fishing for, sharks?
Well, I figured if you were going to do a belt, you want something that's going to hold together.
Interesting.
And I had never seen anything like it.
Are you going to make one of these now?
I've got some other plans, but I'm going to use the same concept.
Okay. So where are your plans going?
I'm going to make a trivet.
Okay.
And it won't be solid. It'll be look like a checkerboard, only there'll be missing pieces.
But it's going to bend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
why do you need a trivet to bend?
You don't. But
Okay.
it's something different.
All right.
And
this is really.
it's
wow.
gorgeous. It's
yeah.
When I was
Do you have any-
driving from, I was in North Carolina, driving up to Asheville, and stopped at this little convenience store, and they had a display. And the guy's name that came with it said he would shorten it or could lengthen it if you couldn't find the right size. So I kept his name for a long time, but it's 20 years ago.
So do you know what it's finished with?
I do not. It's just rosewood, but it's
Okay.
it's got some kind of really good finish on it.
Lacquer.
Probably. That would be my guess.
Yeah. All right. Questions? I encourage you to just to feel this and look at the flexibility of this. This is really awesome. A wooden belt. I've seen wooden hats. Now we need wooden suspenders now.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much you paid for it?
It couldn't have been too much because I didn't have much at that time. So I'm going to say less than $30.
Awesome. Any more questions? Thanks.
Lance, if you're hanging mugs in your kitchen, you might want to get a cutting board. Come see Jim Bainey.
So I did a demonstration a couple of years back on cutting boards, and I swore I was done with cutting boards. I'm never going to make another one. So yeah. So I saw this design, and it's called scaffold. And if all cutting boards have a design in them that this one, its basic design is triangles. And inside of each one of these triangles, there are 10 pieces. And you basically make a log, then you slice it up, twist them around, flip them, do whatever. And that's what That's what this is. So this is going to go up with the rest. This is a demonstration or a decorative one in the kitchen. And then I saw one more.
How many do you have hanging now?
7. Yeah. Anyway, the next one I'm going to try, and I have a rule. I'll try to perfect it as much as possible. There's all kinds of. This isn't perfect by any means, and if I can't do it in 4 tries, I'm not good enough. Well, this was my 3rd try at this one, and there wasn't a lot of improvement between 2 and 3, so I settled with this one. I figured I wasn't going to make a lot of progress with number 4, but yeah, I'm going to try one more. It's called chainmail, and it's. I haven't figured. What I do is I try to figure out how to go backwards. They started with a finished picture, and then try to take it backwards and figure out the chronological order. And this chainmail one, I haven't figured that out yet. So it might be a few years before I do the next one.
So how many different species of wood do you have in there?
Walnut, cherry, and maple. And I finished it with Odie's oil, of course. Any questions? You know, have you read the paper lately? Been following what's happening with the National Safety Equipment Board? They have, next year, SawStop has lost their primary patent right. They've continued with smaller patents on it, but the National Safety Commission Board, I can't think of the acronym for that. It's a national board that dictates safety policy on equipment and tools, and there is a huge problem with table saws because people get injured, and the injuries are really severe. So they have come up with some data that says if they mandated SawStop safety equipment on all table saws, that it would save on the average $3 billion a year in medical costs. And so you brought up the point, well, my favorite, Harbor Freight, they're totally against that because they make a table saw that sells for $150. And if you put the safety equipment on a $150 saw, it's all of a sudden $600. And that, you know, you could buy the whole store for $600. So yeah, it's going to happen probably next year that they're going to mandate that. Interesting. I guess I'm done. Question?
So you have 7, 8 cutting boards?
Yeah, that'll make 8, I think, yeah.
Do you ever use any of them actually for cutting?
No, they're all decorative. Do not put a saw mark in my cutting boards.
Then you don't bother with end-grained cutting boards?
I'm sorry?
You don't bother with end-grain cutting boards then?
Yeah, all except 2 of them are end grain. Because end grain really takes a stain or a finish completely different than the side grain.
Oh yeah, but also end grain is self-healing when you use it as a cutting board.
That's true. If they weren't decorative, if I didn't have 50 hours in each one, yeah. Yeah, I've got, my wife's got a cutting board I gave to her 30 years ago that's all the glue joints are still solid on it. I'm just amazed. It was just walnut and white oak. And it was back when they had the 2-part exterior glue. That's what I used on it, that red stuff. I'm sorry? Yes, yeah. Old timers, we know what that is, yeah. You've been, 40 years ago you were in the guild? I've been around 30. Wayne, how long you been around? How many people were were members when we were in the church? Wow. That's pretty awesome. I'm sorry?
That's where we started.
Really? Who's the historian? We need to take this down. Very good. I'm done.
Well, thank you for the projects. Love seeing the projects. And we're going to take a 10-minute break. And so feel free to come check out the project. Go grab a snack. Be ready to come back here. We're going to start promptly in 10 minutes. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Jones, and welcome to another episode of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild's ongoing series of machine safety videos. Today's video will introduce you to the safety rules and requirements of the Powermatic 8-inch joiner and the Grizzly 16-inch woodworking joiner. Keep in mind that, like all safety videos, this video only covers the safety concerns of these machines, and it's not a complete training program for the use of this equipment. When in the shop, please direct any questions about using these or other machines to the shop foreman. He or she is there to act as your main resource to help keep you safe and provide advice in assisting you to successfully complete your project. And always remember, the most important of safety concerns is to wear approved safety glasses with side shields at all times while in our shop. Joiners are used to prepare stock for making joints by smoothing and flattening an edge or face of the stock that you're using in a project. Joiners have high-speed rotating knives that remove material from the bottom face or the edge of a board as it is pushed over the blades. Typically, a joiner is used to make one face of a board flat, straight, and smooth, and to make one adjacent edge flat, straight, smooth, and square to the jointed face. All of the joiners in our shop have what are called helical cutting heads with many small cutters mounted in them. These types of cutters produce a much finer finish on your project lumber and are therefore preferred over the 2 or 3 straight blades that are found on many joiners. The helical cutting heads also require less maintenance than straight blades. They stay sharp longer and produce a smoother surface because they're made of solid carbide. The joiner should be set to remove no more than 1/16 of an inch of stock in a single pass through the cutter head. Stock must also be at least 12 inches long or longer, and the width of the stock cannot be wider than the cutter head on the machine, 8-inch or 16-inch, depending upon which machine you are using. When joining your stock, make sure to start the attached dust collector before starting the joiner. This is done by using the provided fob or remote control device located near the joiner. Also, you should spend a moment to verify that the dust collector that you'll be using is not full and requiring service. If you're not sure how to empty an attached dust collector, please consult with the shop foreman. Examine the board or boards that you will be joining. Loose knots should be removed to prevent them from becoming projectiles that could injure you or another member. Any boards that could possibly contain metal objects, such as barnwood, need to be scanned with a metal detector and receive approval of the shop foreman on duty before being jointed. Also, remember that any treated lumber is banned from milling operation at the Guild because they've been treated with harmful chemicals. Make sure that you're using push blocks to move your stock through the cutter, and double check before starting your cut that your hands will stay more than 3 inches away from the cutter head. Do not attempt to joint the face of a board that's less than 5/8 inch thick. Although the fence on the joiner can be tilted, we recommend that you introduce any angles to your stock at the table saw, the router table, or other alternate methods. When joining your lumber, make sure that guards over the cutter heads remain in place and move back to their starting position automatically after you pass your lumber through the machine. Always run wood through the joiner with the grain running parallel to the length of the joiner bed. Examine the stock for grain direction, warp, twist, burl, swirl, kink, and cup before joining. Each of these conditions need to be addressed using a different technique to be safely flattened. Never ever joint across the grain. This will cause tear out, and this may happen in an explosive manner. When straightening a cupped or bowed piece of stock, the concave face should be face down, and the humped or convex side face up. Always feed stock from right to left as you face the machine. When you're joining the face of a board, don't let your thumb or your fingers hang over the back end of a board to push it through the joiner. Always use push pads to stay safe from injury. Walk long boards through the cut and avoid applying pressure to the leading few inches of the stock, since this may result in tipping the board or your fingers into the cutter at the start of the cut. Do not back your workpiece out of a cut. Either keep going in the direction of the outfeed table or shut the machine off and lift your piece off once the cutter head has come to a complete stop. You may adjust the thickness of your cut by adjusting the infeed table up or down. Lowering the table will increase the depth of your cut. Denser stocks or boards that are approaching the maximum capacity of the joiner will require a less aggressive depth of cut. And you should remember that finer cuts will result in a better finish. The outfeed table on all of our joiners have been adjusted to provide the best joining result. Please do not make any adjustments to the outfeed table. If you find that the outfeed table does need adjusting, you should consult with the shop foreman. Once you have completed joining your stock, you should shut down the dust collector, turn off the joiner, and wait for the cutting head to come to a complete stop. Take a moment to check your work area, clean up the machine and the floor around where you've been working. This is Mike Jones. Thanks for watching.
My name is Kitsy Dingley, and welcome to another episode of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild ongoing series of machine safety videos. Today's video will introduce you to the safety concerns of the ShopFox 15-inch wide belt sander. Keep in mind that like all safety videos, this video only covers the safety concerns of the ShopFox wide belt sander and is not a complete training program for the use of this sander. When in the shop, please direct any questions about using this or any other machine to the shop foreman. He or she is there as your main resource to keep you safe and provide assistance in completing your project successfully. And always remember, the most important of safety concerns is to wear approved safety glasses with side shields at all times while in our shop. The wide belt sander is for sanding any wide, flat panels on your project. The Shop Fox sander uses a 15-inch wide sanding belt. This sander also has an open-end design so that you could sand panels wider than 15 inches. However, this practice is not encouraged because our shop has other wide belt sanders capable of sanding panels up to 37 inches in one pass. To ensure that your stock contacts the feed rollers, the minimum length of any stock being fed into the Shop Fox sander is 14 inches, and the minimum thickness is 3/16 of an inch. Sanding stock to a thickness that is less than 3/16 of an inch is possible, but to prevent damage to the machine and your project, you must use a backer board. There are no in-feed and out-feed tables on any of our Y-belt sanders, so that you must make sure that the area is clear on both the in-feed and the out-feed sides of the table. The control panel consists of the following: power indicator light, feed table on and off buttons, sanding belt on and off buttons, and an emergency stop button. Note also the emergency stop panic bar at the end of the in-feed side of the feed belt table. Emergency stop buttons and bars are for the immediate stopping of the machine, as in case of an emergency. Do not use them in the regular process of shutting down the machine, as the process is abrupt and it's hard on the machine. To get started, turn on the air supply to the sander, start the dust collector, adjust the table height to material thickness, raising the table until the stock has resistance sliding under the pressure roller. Turn on the feed belt, turn on the sanding belt. Be careful not to allow your fingers or clothing to get pinned between the board and the feed belt. Feed pieces individually through the sander. Do not feed multiple pieces through at the same time to prevent kickback of one or more pieces. Feed the stock flat on the belt, supporting the free end. Support the free end of the stock as it exits the machine as well. The wide belt sander is for finish sanding, not for thickness reduction. The sander can only move small amounts of material per pass. The table is raised by turning the hand wheel on the side. The hand wheel has bumps on the inside of the wheel. The maximum change of thickness is 1 bump on the wheel. Making a pass that removes a lot of stock causes poor sanding results and may in fact destroy the sanding belt, cause a kickback, or damage your project. When you've finished your sanding, turn off the sander in the following order: sanding belt, feed belt, dust collector, and air supply. Don't forget to clean up your work area. This is Kitsy Dingley, and thanks for watching.
All right, everyone. Can you all hear me? Is this on? Am I on now? Okay. All right, everyone. We're going to get started with our program from J.Thomas Home. But first, I have a really cool announcement tonight. We have 6 new members. That's awesome. And I'm just going to call your name and stand up and tell us your whole life story. No, I'm just kidding. But welcome, Jessica Atwood. Welcome, great. Edward Speedy, awesome. Rob Martin, Rob, might have taken off. Robert Smith, okay, might have taken off. Mark Madras, Mark is back there, thank you. And Wayne Wainwright, that's a familiar name to a lot of people. Been here a long time. So great to have you back. Now we're going to turn this over. If you all, Carrie, if you want to bring your team up. I haven't met you all, but I'm really looking forward to your program.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Good. Thank you guys very much for having us. I was a member here a few years back, and I always enjoyed it when it was at the other building. This is my first time to this space. It's really cool. So I really like what you guys have done with it. Really, really cool space. My wife and I started J.Thomas Home in 2016 in our garage, just making floating shelves, with much less skill than any of you guys here. So all the projects you guys have done have been really, really cool, and I've been excited to see those, so those are really awesome. Oh, sorry. Get on camera. Okay. So we're excited to be here. I know most of you guys, if you need a floating shelf, would probably just make your own. But I'll have Carrie. So this is Carrie, the Director of Sales and Marketing. Hello. And then Dan is our Operations Manager. We have a small wood shop in Olathe, so just down the road. And our main goal is just to let you know that we're kind of a resource out there. And that floating shelves, we're there as well. And we also do some slat wall paneling, but I'll show you guys that in a little bit. Carrie, if you want to go into the slides that use the orange mic.
Should we?
Sorry.
I've got a slideshow coming up here for you guys. Again, I'm Carrie Barnett, obviously with J.Thomas Home. I do the sales and marketing, and we're excited to be here and kind of see what everybody is into tonight and show her what we do. And if you want to go to the next one, please. Thank you. Let's see. So I'm going to read just a little bit here. As any experienced woodworker knows, one quality piece like floating shelves or mantles can shift the mood and even the perception of those who spend time within it. That's why we started crafting real wood floating shelves. We saw the genuine desire for them. They add a touch of magic everywhere they land.
Just a little closer.
Okay. Sorry about that. They add a touch of magic everywhere they land, be it a farmhouse kitchen, a mid-century modern living room, a city loft, or even a healthcare and retail spaces. Real wood used to be accessible to everyone, but now finding custom shelves often translates to be significant time, money, or compromise. Handmade wood shelves are notoriously difficult to build perfectly straight and easy to hang. Custom cabinets are fantastic, but the intricate nature of shelving makes them time-consuming and expensive. Here's where we come in. Our process is an efficient science more than just an art, allowing for custom design at an accessible price. Crafted to order by our compassionate Kansas team, these shelves are built to be loved. And then just a little thing on our mission, making lives more enjoyable with high quality products that last. And you can go to the next slide, please. So, as Josh may have mentioned, we're always looking for great people to work with our company, and we have our core values are desire, it drives us here at J.Thomas Home, diligence, it fuels our work, and dynamic, innovative, exceptional. That's the type of people we're looking for. So if you know anyone that is obviously interested in working with wood, we'd love to see them. So you can go to the next one, please. And we're actually an e-commerce company is how we started. Josh kind of mentioned that a little early on. So most of our sales and our experience has been selling people online. We ship the shelves out all through the United States. And we haven't really made a big imprint here in Kansas City locally, but that's kind of our goal next is to find people within the community, businesses, and create those partnerships and really make an impact and let people know we're here and build the business here. So, and then you can go to the next slide, please. And as Josh mentioned, we do the custom shelves, but we also have the ability to do the LED lit shelves, which is a big part of our business. We also do custom mantles, and we have like 6 different wood species that we do them in. You can pick from a variety of colors. And then we just recently introduced slat wall panels, which are kind of popular. The mid-century modern is coming back, but they can work in a lot of different design not just modern. So I'll let Josh show you guys some of those samples here later. And then if you want to go, this is just introducing our team. You've already said hi to Dan, myself, and Josh, but we've also got Wendy in our customer service. So if you ever, interacted with us, she's great. She's new, and she just came aboard on the team. So, and then if you want to go to the next slide, please. This is just a little of our work. We do both residential and commercial, but we've done a lot of optometry offices. So, surprising, we're really looking to, again, expand our business. I said mostly we did e-commerce, and it's mostly been residential, but we're really looking to get with builders, cabinet shops. A lot of cabinet shops, they're great at the cabinets themselves, but they don't want to mess with the floating shelves. So if you know anybody like that, we're happy to step in and help with that. So, and you can go to the next slide, please. And this is just our contact us. If it's kind of hard to see, but we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. We'd love for you to see what we do. We post a lot of the customer pictures and the projects that they're working on. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys.
That's awesome. Good job, Carrie. Thank you. Yeah, we do a ton of floating shelves, both commercial and residential. Like I said, you guys are probably going to make your own shelves. But we're a resource out there. We do metal brackets, so we have a small metal shop inside the wood shop. So we make our own metal brackets. Everything is made out of hardwoods from white oak, walnut, rustic, superior alder, maple, and then furniture grade pine as well. You're not going to find a lot of high quality floating shelves. If you go to any big box store, most of it's going to be shipped in China or Amazon. You get to pick from maybe 3 colors, a couple different sizes. We do custom sizes all the time, from 120-inch long shelves down to 12-inch long shelves, and anything and everything in between. The brackets are, like I said, made out of metal. They do a great job supporting up to a 12-inch deep shelf on their own. Super easy to hang. We had a couple shelves with brackets in them over there. But the other big thing that we do that's time-consuming and tedious for most DIYers is we do integrated lighting as well. So it'll ship just like this with a pigtail at the back that you just have to wire into a transformer. And so if you're doing under cabinet lighting and that kind of stuff, you can easily incorporate these in as well. And you can get them in maple, like a lot of cabinets are, or, different things like that. And then we have a bunch of stains and finishes, so you can kind of tailor it. Or you can get them unfinished and finish them yourself. So kind of a couple cool options there. And then new products for us, slat wall paneling. I don't know if you guys have seen this online at all. They come in 12-inch wide by 8 or 9 foot tall sheets. They come with an acoustic wall backing, so it's sound deadening, so you can put them in a lot of good spaces. From conference rooms to media rooms to just anywhere. They're a really good option if you want an accent wall that looks really nice and is really, really, really easy to install. Because literally just a little liquid nails, apply it up, and a few drywall screws into studs, and you're pretty much there. It's also really DIY friendly, so it's easy to cut around if you had a TV bracket that you want to cut out for. Super easy to really give yourself a good accent wall. And honestly, in a weekend or at best, you can really transform a space. So that's a new product for us. And again, if you guys ever need anything, just let us know. But our main goal is to be a resource for you guys. If you ever need any brackets, we do have a lot of 8-quarter cutoffs as well that we sell really cheap out in Olathe. If you guys ever need any 8-quarter pieces to make cutting boards, pen blanks, anything you can think of, we have those as well. And like Carrie mentioned, if you know anybody that's looking for a career in woodworking, we'd love to talk to them because there's a lot of great people out there, and we have a really good spot for those type of people. Do you know where the courthouse is? We're about a mile south of the courthouse. There's like Harris, if you know the area, Harrison's Welding and Bledsoe's Rentals. We're kind of right by them. By 56, between Santa Fe and 56, Old 56. So yeah, downtown Olathe. Yeah. Yeah, the bracket's pretty slick. We cut them all the backs out on a plasma table, and they're going to have slots every single inch. Did you want to find that shelf maybe with the bracket in it? That would be a good visual. Oh, okay. They got raffled. They got slots every inch so that ideally you can hit a stud. You can still use like wall anchors and those will support the weight just fine. But they have lots of slots across the top, so that's going to pin the top of the shelf up nice so that it can support, like you guys know this, it's tough to support deep things freely on a wall, right, with no cleats on the sides and stuff like that. So they're really strong and sturdy, and they can do 45 plus pounds on that 12-inch depth, and they do a great job and sell a ton of kitchens, ton of living room retrofits, right, kind of on either side of the fireplace. Yes?
What type of wood sells the most? What color wood?
It's white oak and sand or clear coat are the two most popular.
So you use solid white oak wood then?
We do.
It's pretty heavy, isn't it?
It is.
All right, compared to alder.
Compared to all, yes. Yeah, less fun to work with and machine, like the whole thing, because it's obviously denser. So alder's pretty easy. You can kind of make it do what you want. White oak's a little more effort.
What's your favorite wood to use?
Favorite wood to use?
All of you.
That's tough. So I love the look of white oak. We did white oak floating shelves in our house. I really love the look of walnut, but obviously I love to machine alder.
Have you used knotty alder yet?
Yeah. Yep. So we have both grades. So we have rustic or knotty, and then we also have the superior alder too.
Would those go more or less like in cabins?
Superior can do anything. It's gonna be clean. It's more budget friendly than white oak. But it can go like transitional. It can go modern if you want to stain, like, because you could stain it black. So you can go modern with it. The rustic's going to be people that want that look and they want the character. It's going to be more, somebody who's looking, a lot of mantles too look really nice in rustic alder. But yeah, they go in cabins and stuff, lake houses, and then people that just have a little more of a rustic vibe going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about the toys in your shop.
The toys in our shop. We do have quite a few fun toys. Dan, do you want to do the toys? You like them.
You might, like our process originally. All right. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And I'm going to hold it really close to my mouth so nobody runs up here and takes it out of my hand. Our process originally, we used a shaper with just a bit that would cut a trough like this for the bracket to fit inside. And then we actually had trying to think of the inline boring machine that would.
We had like a Ritter boring machine.
And we had stops that would put it at certain points where we pre-make all of our brackets so we have the holes in the right spot. So that was the second part of that process. We also countersink where when you slide this over the bracket, this holds the shelf to the bracket. So you had that process. And we also had a separate CNC that was flatbed for doing our light. So you're walking through 4 or 5 different processes. The line boring machine would only go maybe 1.5 inches deep. So then we were taking these to a drill press and actually going 8 inches deep with that, which was it was just the worst job ever. So we did some tests.
Because a drill press, you guys know this, has a 6-inch quill at most. So you get to crank that table for the 2 inches, drill out the last 2 inches, crank down about 1 million times a day.
Currently, we start our process. For our glue up and stuff, we have, so for instance, we've got an upcut saw where you drop your material and you step on a pedal and an 18-inch saw blade that's running just jumps up and saws it to whatever length you want. We use it's a grizzly rip saw to get our width. We go through and cut everything to width, glue it up, and eventually we'll plane it. We have we've got 2 24-inch planers basically. But what probably our most technologically advanced machine that took over all of these processes is our horizontal CNC. So we use it's a Holzer, and has vacuum pads that hold the lumber in place, slides in, and we've got a 5-tool changer with a 13 drill head on it. So we're able to actually machine basically the whole shelf in that one CNC machine. Now we still have to do a lot of sanding. We still have a whole lot of other processes after that as far as staining and finishing and whatnot, but really the CNC is taken over so many of the processes that we used to have to do by hand. I mean, it was really tricky even using jigs and you know, trying to be as best woodworker you could to make sure that you have these holes exactly 20 inches apart, say for instance, because your bracket is one solid bracket. With the CNC, you just don't have that option. You just don't see that error anymore. You know, your brackets fit every time. So yes.
What program do you use?
In the Holzer has its own software for programming. It's called Hops, and since I started using it, it's everything on its metric. Of course, I've had to adjust to that, and everything. You go to certain pages, and it's all German. So. When I get to one of those, I kind of have to back out immediately and go, I can't even count that. But the Hops software reminds me a whole lot of using AutoCAD actually when I was much younger. I've used a lot of the cabinet softwares through the years, from Cabinet Vision, Cabinetware, Mosaic, all that kind of stuff. But the Hops, this is it's designed specifically for their machine.
So even before even before that. Before Dan's time, we used to hand cut each one on a sliding miter saw, and then we'd drop it and do a blind kind of dado on a router to get the backs, multiple passes. We have a razor gauge upcut saw with a fence that you can load your cutlass into, and so it'll kind of push and process, and you load the lumber. And they have their own little proprietary software. We have a flatbed CNC that we use VCarve Pro for. To generate, it uses VCarve, to generate the G code. The vertical panel CNC uses the German Hops program, and those are probably those would probably be the big ones. And then a couple of other like Tiger stops that you just kind of punch in the numbers for. Yeah.
What obstacles have you run into in finding staff to do the work?
You know, we usually get amazing guys and gals that work with us. Sometimes it's digging through a needle stack to find that one needle to get a really good one, but we always end up with really, really good people. It would be great if there was more of them, you know, that were looking to do woodworking kind of as a career and knew that was a path and an opportunity. But overall, we've been really, really blessed and really, really fortunate to have just awesome staff the whole time.
Do you do all your install?
We do no installs. Yep, so that's where we like to be a resource for people. We're a very niche company, right? We're not another cabinet shop or that kind of thing. So we like to partner with people that then do the install as a part of a bigger project. Maybe they're doing the cabinets or the floors, or it's a handyman that likes to do the installs for us. But we actually don't do any installs. Sometimes it's DIYers, sometimes it's contractors, but yeah, we don't actually do any of our own installs.
We ship these all over the country.
The majority of the stuff, 95% goes out of Kansas City right now. About 5% stays local, and then most of those are through people that are either going to hang themselves or they have a contractor that's going to do the work.
I don't know if I missed this when you first started, but how did you get started with this? What was your interest in getting into the shelving or the hanging floating shelf business?
Yeah, so Emily, my wife, and I had just finished kind of remodeling our house back in 2016, and so I needed a project or something to do. So I wanted to start a side hustle. I looked through a few different things, opportunities, and I decided to make floating shelves. I thought that would be a really cool product, and we literally just started in our garage with a cheap camera and a couple like prototypes, and we started selling them on Etsy. So Etsy direct to consumer.
Do you have a local source for your lumber?
Yes, yeah. We use a variety of different suppliers, but including Liberty, Paxton, Blue Links. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm still a little bit confused with your bracket on the back. Do you lag bolt that bracket into a stud?
Ideally, you hit studs. You don't have to use a lag bolt. You can use a long construction, high-strength construction screw that ideally goes into studs. If you can't hit a stud, though, toggle bolts or toggler wall anchors work great.
Sheetrock?
In sheetrock.
And that works?
It works.
Have you had any failures?
No failures.
Really?
Truly. Yep. So we've done, a lot of people install them over tile. So they'll drill through the tile and hit studs, or if they're real smart, they'll put blocking up before they put the tile up. But yeah, we've had lots of people in tile, drywall. It's stout. I mean, I wish those shelves were still here. The bracket's a 1/4 inch thick sheet plate on the back that we cut the slots out of for the screws, and then 1/2 inch solid bar rods that are about 5 inches long.
So once you slide that onto the bar, how do you stabilize it? How do you fasten it so it doesn't?
Yep, 2 options. 1, you can silicone the bar and slide the shelf on. 2, that's where the countersinks come in. We have notches in the bracket, in the bars, that the countersinks will catch. But I'll show you, I can show you some pictures too. We have pictures online, I can kind of show you those too.
Did you come up with this design for the brackets, or did
Yes. I don't know if it's novel by any means. It's certainly not patented. But yes, like there were some other brackets that were kind of out there a little bit that I thought were a good idea. And so I took those a little and kind of transformed them into our bracket, which I thought was a better design. So like there were brackets out there that just had holes every like 6 inches across the back, kind of hoping you can hit a stud. And I was like, well, that's okay, but what if we can cut it to where we have holes every inch? And then I'm like, well, what if that's a slot so that you can adjust it, 1/8 of an inch either way, that kind of stuff.
Farthest away customer.
Hong Kong. Shipping was as much as the shelves. Yeah, shipping can be astronomical. So we do ship, we ship things that are 100 inches long. And so if you have 100 inches of 12 inch deep white oak, and 2 inches thick with a metal bracket in there, it's every bit of an 80-pound shelf. Yeah, so they're real. Yeah, they're real. They're real heavy too.
Is there any place in your shop that you could bring in youth as apprentice to bring them through and train them?
Yes. Usually, I like to start out the greenest people in sanding, as well as shipping just a little bit. I like them to see the finished end product of what it's going to see and work them backwards so they know what effect each step that they do or each step in the process has on the finished product. So then they can see the finished product for shipping. They can work back and see how the sanding affects the finish. They can work back and see how a better assembled product makes life a lot easier during sanding, and then how it goes all the way back to when that person's initially marking out and gluing up the material, like their material selection and gluing, how that makes, if they do a good job, it makes everyone's lives a lot easier all the way through.
So I kidnapped her in here, and we got your website pulled up so she can pull up some of the photos you were looking for.
Oh, yeah. If you want to go to just like floating shelves on the top navigation, yeah, white oak. And then like this the third picture, scroll up. Yep, there you go. That's perfect. So that should, yeah, so that's what the brackets look like.
Explain your sanding and finish process and what you use for finish, if you would.
Yeah, so sanding wise, we have a bunch of so we have a couple of wide belt sanders that give us a rough first pass, and then they have a couple heads on them. So they come out of there looking pretty good, and then we have a bunch of Merca sanders that we literally hand sand every single shelf, get any saw marks out, especially, the ends you're not going to get on a wide belt. We have oscillating sanders too that can help with some of that. But then we go through literally hand sand with a Merca, 6-inch sander, every single shelf, take them up, sort them into finishing where they're stained, and then clear coated by hand. So just a person. Yep.
What do you use for finish?
We use a really high-end Italian waterborne polyurethane, so like Sawyerlac.
What grit do you sand to?
We usually, what is it?
220.
220.
Yeah. You don't go 600?
No.
And yeah, we try not to polish the shelves. The hardest part's color consistency, right? So getting a bunch of different pieces of lumber from a bunch of different trees to all match as close as possible for consumers who don't necessarily know a lot about staining wood. They know the Instagram photo that they've seen that they want. They don't necessarily know heartwood versus sapwood, all of the minutia. So getting all of that stuff to match up is always the hardest. We get a lot of it here from like Paxton, Liberty, Blue Links.
Okay, following up on what I asked you earlier. So you were in 2016. You were looking for a product. Were you grow up as a woodworker? Were you an experienced woodworker, or did you just kind of start with an idea?
I would call myself a novice woodworker at best. And the shelves we made were not hidden bracket floating shelves. They were shelves that sat on pipes with lumber from Menards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, with a miter saw and a belt sander.
So did you have tools, or did you say, hey, what tools do I need to start this?
I had...
Seems like quite the leap of faith.
Yeah, I had a chop saw, a belt sander, a little mouse sander, a planer. That's about it. Yeah.
Live edge slabs. Have you done anything with those where you have just a slab of wood?
Those we have not done any floating shelves with. Well, I shouldn't say never, but very, very, very rarely. Like if a customer has a piece of live edge material that they want to use or go pick out, that's you're adding another layer of variability because you're going to get a shelf that's all over the place. And so educating the customer on that has always been a struggle. So we've never dipped our toes into it too much other than people that have brought us, hey, can you use this piece of live edge lumber to make a shelf out of? We used to do that some.
Does your bracket work on live edge?
It sure will. It's just a pain though because it's not square, right? So you have to somehow get it square and brace it and not have it move. So it's just kind of another variable that's a little more difficult to contend with. So we leave that one, usually we leave that one to somebody else.
What about, you said you did mantles?
We do mantles, yeah.
Same mechanism?
They have square tube. So where instead of round bar, it has square tube. But very, very similar. Same back, and then they don't have countersink holes. You just silicone them out. Silicone them, set something heavy on it, let it dry.
You said you had a CNC machine. Do you ever do artificial live edge with your CNC machine?
We do not. We have not, I should say.
Have you thought of doing that?
I have not thought of doing that. No, that's a good idea. Yeah, I thought, because there are a lot of people that do like live edge, so I was like, but they wanted a specific depth. And then if you want 6 of them, about the only way to be able to actually do it would be to artificially do it. And then it's like, do people want artificial, or do they want the real deal where you can see the sapwood coming in and out, or, you know, like, so that's the, anyways, yeah, we haven't gone too far down that road, but I think that would be about the only way that you could actually do it and sell it as not a one-off product.
Any other questions for this group?
Okay.
If a person wanted just a bracket, would you be able to sell just the bracket?
Yep, all day long.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Well, I just want to thank you on behalf of the Guild for coming down. Such a cool product. It's nice to know that we have that in Kansas City that ships all around the country. And I'm sure all of us have probably tried, well, not all of us, but I'm sure many of us have tried our hand at something like this. It might be easier just to dial it up and order it. So
that's where you get to kind of, because like floating shelves seems like an easy thing, and then you get into it and you're like, oh, but I need a bracket. Oh, but I want to do lights, and then you're
yeah, absolutely
50 hours into this thing, and you're like, man.
So I'm a project manager for a general contractor, and every now and then the cabinet makers they spec out floating shelves. So I'll have to make sure I remember that the next time they are like, well, who's going to do those? So it happens.
Well, and that's
here
the
and
other
there.
thing too. Maybe you've run into is a lot of times cabinet shops don't want to make floating shelves. They're set up to make cabinets, and they like making cabinets. And floating shelves, they have to set up and change everything and get set up to run like 2. So they're super expensive. They have still the same cabinet lead time, like 12 weeks or whatever, whereas we're on a 10 business day lead time. So we're pretty quick.
This is, I don't know if you can answer this, but how many shelves do you sell in like a month?
Yeah, 1,000.
Around 1,000. That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of shelves to make.
That's what, 20 working days, so 50 a day, something like that. That's awesome.
We do a lot of white oak. Walnut's still really popular, but the highest volume mover, if you want to call it that, is white oak and clear coat or sand's like our proprietary finish. You know how when you finish white oak, sometimes it turns just a touch yellow? The sand kind of knocks that out, so it still stays that tan color that everybody really, really wants, and knocks that yellow down on it. So a lot of people really like it.
Is Etsy still a source, or do you use your website? Where do most of your orders come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the majority of our orders come through our own website. We do still sell on Etsy. Yep, so we still get a few orders a day through Etsy.
Got time for maybe one more question. Anybody else?
If my wife's credit card comes through, it's no good.
Okay.
Well, I just want to thank you all again on behalf of the Guild. This is a small token of our appreciation.
Well,
the only
nice.
way you can get one
Thank
of these
you.
is to present here. So
that's awesome.
Even though it's not valuable, it's very rare.
It's very rare. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you
We're
guys
gonna-
very
we're gonna
much.
stand. Thank you. Thank you guys.
They always want me to take a mug shot with the mug,
Oh.
so we have to take a picture.
Okay.
Who's got the camera?
Got it down there?
I guess so.
Okay. Maybe one more. I wasn't looking at you. Good? Okay.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night. Feel free to hang out a bit. Drive carefully, and please help clean up, pick up the chairs, and set up the shop. We could use your help. So thanks everyone for coming.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys.
Sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll give you one of these just in case.
A special thank you to our guest today, to the Guild's Leadership Committee, and to all of our sponsors. For more information about the Guild, upcoming classes, and events, please visit our website kcwg.org. You can also find us on social media by searching for Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. And remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications.